Good morning, my amazing Arbonne ladies. We are live, so if you're online, fabulous. We can go through a couple of things before we start around housekeeping. It is freezing where I am, so I hope that you are warm. I'm wearing a lovely scarf. And if you have any questions throughout the session, we're going to be using the Q&A box, which is this blue one up here. Just type your questions in there and I'll be able to answer them along the way. So we have 2 minutes until our official starting time. I will be here. If you have any questions that you would like to ask now, I'm more than happy to answer some. Today we're going to be talking about belief systems and how we can build you that mindset that you need to go out and build the business that you'll love. Alrighty, it's 7:30. Let's get cracking. Today we're going to be talking about belief systems and what that means and how it's actually going to impact your business. Starting an Arbonne business can be challenging for a lot of people because it really comes up against a lot of the things you believe about yourself, and you have to go out there and put yourself out in front of a whole bunch of people you don't know. So there's been studies about the greatest fears in life, and next week we're going to talk about fears, but today we're talking about beliefs, which is the basis of a lot of fears. And the two biggest fears in this world are public speaking and death, in that order. Now, why is public speaking such a terrifying thing for so many people? Well, essentially, it's a fear of being rejected. So when you're speaking in public, you have hundreds, if not thousands, maybe 10 people that could potentially reject you. And that's terrifying. And what you do at Arbonne is talk to a whole bunch of strangers, a lot, and you get some great results and you show them some great products and hopefully you bring them onto your team. So, it's going to be really important that you have rock solid belief systems underneath those conversations that are going to resonate through, and people are going to want to come work with you because they can see that it's not only fun but rewarding. So let's skip straight to the slide pack. Once again, if you have any questions, just pop them in the Q&A button along the side here and we can work together to answer them. I'm just going to share my screen with you. Beautiful. And then we'll go here. So once again, at the beginning of every session, I like to tell you that you are more incredible than you could possibly imagine. I hope that this is sinking in. This is our third session out of 6. So I hope that you are starting to realize that you are capable of whatever you put your mind to. And by the end of this session, you are so aware of everything that you're thinking and how it's impacting your life that you can really start making the changes you want to see. So much learning. Today we're going to discuss what a mindset is. Now, people throw around this comment fairly easily, mindset this, mindset that. I am a mindset coach. What does it even mean? Then we're going to go through something called growth and fixed mindset, and this is really to set you up for today's session. Then we're going to talk about the 4 basic elements of a mindset, which is code, beliefs, values, and ID. And finally, we're going to learn how to train your beliefs, which is awesome. That's where the real exciting stuff comes from. But without the previous elements, it's not going to be much use to anyone. So a mindset, by definition, in the dictionary, is a fixed mental attitude or disposition that predetermines a person's responses to the interpretation of situations, or an inclination or a habit. Look, I don't agree with this. I put it in there because a lot of people do look up in the dictionary what things mean, and I think that's an excellent thing to do. But I believe that a mindset is not fixed at all, actually, and you can train your mindset. It is, as said earlier, a combination of our code, our values, our belief system, and our identification of ourselves. So even though the dictionary has this definition in it, I would like to break this definition and say it's those four elements combined, and is the thing we believe about ourselves, essentially. And you've probably heard people say mindset is the unfair advantage. Mindset is the thing that gives you the results. So if it's a fixed mental attitude, then we're all screwed, basically. So this definition is lovely set of words, but I don't believe it has much credibility. So a fixed mindset, growth versus fixed. A fixed mindset is believing that what you've got now is all you're going to have in the future. It's believing that talent is what gets you success. And a growth mindset is people who believe that anything can be learned and developed. You just have to want it and work hard. So I hope you can pick from those two the ones that I'm trying to encourage you to grow. Now, when most people read this, they go, oh, yeah, I have a hugely growth mindset. Everything I do is growth mindset. And I smile, and then I ask them, how would you feel if I was teaching you French and you had to come to the front of the classroom in front of 5 people and speak to me in French? Comment allez-vous? Je m'appelle Lorraine. And you go, eh? I can't learn a new language. I don't know how to speak French. I don't want to stand up in front of the class. You know, what's going through your mind? This is a fixed mindset. So there are going to be elements in your life that you already have a growth mindset, and there are going to be elements in your life where you have a fixed mindset. And it's really important to identify where those things are. If you have a fixed mindset in your business, I'm no good at sales, or this is something that's really hard for me, or I can't learn this. This is, you know, some people are just really good at this and I'm not that person. If that is your mindset, how are you going to develop? Every time you go to develop, that's going to stop you. So I want you to examine the areas in your life where it's pretty obvious where you have a growth or a fixed mindset, and where you have a growth one, pat yourself on the back and then try to open up more. Where you have a fixed mindset, focus on that for a while and grow that mindset as much as you can. Understanding that no one knew how to do anything once. Everyone was a beginner is a really important concept. As women especially, we strive for perfection so hard that we often won't do things until they're perfect. Now, this is a real fixed mindset, and I need you to open up to be willing to make mistakes, be willing to look a bit silly, and be willing to embrace that success that's going to come your way. If you're not open and willing, how can you expect the universe and the people around you to support you in growing in that area? So your homework throughout this week, until I speak to you again next week, is to identify your growth and fixed mindset areas and what you're going to do about your fixed ones. Now, here is the most powerful mindset information I can give you. This, once understood, has changed the way that I address myself, my business, and everyone around me for my entire life. We are code, just like a computer. Everything we do and say is based on a story that we've told ourselves. Now, you're probably sitting there going, whatever, blah, 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 keep going, Lauren. But I want you to stop and consider this. Is that a story? I'm no good at this. That's a story. You didn't pop out of the womb shit at something. Somehow you decided that that would be something that's important to you to hold on to, and you keep telling yourself that so much that it becomes ingrained. So think about a friend. It's easier to identify it in other people, but think about a friend or someone you have in your life, maybe a colleague, and every time you talk to them, it's the same story. My back hurts. I'm too tired. My kids are such energy bunnies. I have no money. Money doesn't grow on trees. And the themes that come out of their mouth are so consistent. And then when you speak to a high performer, they're like, yeah, I'm learning, this is really exciting, I'm growing, I'm finding money's easy to come by, and their stories that they're telling you are so different. The words you choose have such an impact on your psychological state. It's crazy. The correlation of sentence structure to mindset is 95%. It is unreal. So if you examine the stories you tell yourself on a daily basis, you can start to see why you're getting the results you are getting. Now, some of us, in fact all of us, have stories that we run on such autopilot we can't even identify them. So that's where you need a coach or someone else to come in and really dig down into your stories to understand where they come from and how they're impacting your life. So we do this in what we call the Moxxi Lady program, which is one of our premium products, and we absolutely dig down, and what we find in there is so incredibly powerful. It can make you millions. It can get you relationships that you've always wanted. It can break that habit of overeating. It just, understanding the stories that you tell yourself is so critical. So as well as identifying your growth and fixed mindset areas, I really want you to take stock this week on the stories you tell yourself. Every time you stop and you don't want to go any further, don't judge yourself for that, but sit there and go, why am I stopping? Is it because I'm telling myself a story? And identify that story and write it down and then rip it up because it's just a story. You're perfectly capable of anything. The only difference between you and Beyonce is the stories you're running in your mind. Is this making sense? I really hope it's going in, and I would love it if you're having an open mindset about this and accepting this information and seeing how it could impact your life. So if you have a story that you're running at the moment that is having an impact, I'd love you to put that in the Q&A section so I can either answer it or acknowledge it, because that conscious awareness of your story is really going to create an outcome for you in such a wonderful way. Similarly, if you create strong and healthy stories, your results are going to be different. So when you identify a negative story, throw a good one in there instead and see what you come out with. I'm just going to check our question and answer forum, see if anyone has asked a question. I hope that you are watching this and considering what's going on in your life at the moment and what results you've been trying to get for a while, and identifying the stories that are based on giving you those results. There are no questions, so I will continue on. So if it's all just a bunch of stories, oh, sorry, spelling error in that one. If it's all just a bunch of stories, then what do the stories do? Like, if they just exist in your brain, that's fine. But the problem with having a story set is it creates a belief set. And beliefs is my favorite topic, apart from neurocardiology, probably. So what is a belief? A belief is a solidified story which you identify with who you are as a person. So if you believe you're not good enough, if you believe you're a terrible public speaker, if you believe that you don't have the skills to create a big business, if you believe that finding people is hard, you create this belief in your head with such strength, and then you take action based on it. So if you believe that you don't like public speaking, when you go to public speak, you might do it poorly, you might stress out, you might sweat, you might be nervous, and because of that you get a result. And this gives you evidence. So if you believe you're a terrible public speaker and you do a not so amazing job, then you get evidence in your life that goes, yeah, I am crap. See, I was terrible at that. And then because of that, your belief gets stronger. Then you take another action, which is even more derogatory to who you are as a human, which identifies with your belief again, and it's a vicious cycle. Just like if you've ever bought a new car and all of a sudden you start seeing it everywhere. I don't know if that's ever happened to you. It's happened to me. Just like that, if you have a belief, all of a sudden you'll start seeing it everywhere. Negative and positive are the same. So it's really important, first of all, to identify your stories and then to see how your beliefs are formed from those stories. Let's take an example. If you believe that you are willing to learn and you take action and you bugger up, let's say you wreck it real bad, because we all do, mistakes are very common, what evidence are you going to find out of that? You're not going to find that you're rubbish. You're not going to find you're not good enough. You're not going to find you're not going to succeed. You're going to find that that was an opportunity to learn. And look, you're learning. Isn't that wonderful? And then you support the belief that you're willing to learn. You take more action, and it is a positive cycle. And you see, by identifying your beliefs and replacing them with a positive thing, you can actually build more evidence in your life that makes you more confident, more happy, and ultimately more successful in every single area of your life, not just business. Don't think the things I'm teaching you here are only related to your Arbonne business. They're completely related to life. If you believe you're a terrible girlfriend, wife, lover, you will do funny things. Sometimes you might pick a fight, sometimes you'll be embarrassed, and your partner doesn't know what's going on. And then they might respond in a negative fashion because they're confused, which you're finding evidence to support the fact that you're not what you want to be, which then supports that belief, which then makes you act.